I'm your host, the Ludist. All right, yeah. Thank you for showing up again. I was gonna do dib this episode, but I had like 8 tacos and I had a pretty productive day. So I'm gonna reward myself, and I'm just gonna be like, you know what? Let's go full grr. I did happen to find this diagram online, right? Which I thought was pretty cool. Here, let me go ahead and no, not that one. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the opacity for that. Here, bump. And we're just going to do this as a tracing episode and then start messing with my actual large pieces, right? These are some sketches that I made. I want to go into 3 special dynamics that I've seen GIR do, which is usually fat GIR. There's like different iterations of fat GIR. There's like this wide version of him, the pudding GIR, and then there's the sausage GIR, which is him, but like more of a sausage, right? And then there's, dog GIR and regular GIR. One thing I found fascinating was that, he's so relatable to a lot of us in many ways. He's a sporadic, upbeat character, right? And we know very little about him, is what I'd like to say, but that's not true. We know a lot about him, right? But we don't know why he acts the way he does, other than the fact that he's crazy, right? The fact that he's crazy, it just kind of gives more of a relative aspect to his character. But it really does give you more of a connection, because there's this inner child that he wants to release, right? But he doesn't really portray that inner child. He acts out as the inner child, right? And here, I'm just going to trace while I talk for this first portion. It might turn into 2 episodes, but really what I'm doing here, aside from my babbling, is I'm getting each of this turnarounds in these characters. I'm going to trace one of them, and then after I'm done tracing this whole front view back here, this whole second one, I'm just going to start doing shapes, so to say, as opposed to just these trace lines, right? Anyways, back to GIR. GIR really brings out this child that's locked inside of me and a lot of us, right? And a key point to his design was to find a relation to a lot of people that felt like they needed GIR in their life. And when I say needed, it was like the suppression of energy that we all have our inner child for. Like, have you ever just, what's the right word I'm looking for? Have you ever tried to just scream from the top of your lungs, right? You scream from the top of your lungs. When no one's looking, of course, it's a little tempting. You're just in your room. And when you have like an ego or I don't want to say ego per se, but I feel so posh when I say per se. When you have a ego or some self-conscious, what's the word I'm looking for? Self-esteem. Yeah, self-esteem issues. Not being able to scream in a room where you're by yourself is your ego or your conscience telling you that, hey, you shouldn't do that. People will think you're weird, right? Like, there's these weird thoughts that run through your brain. For me, it was always like, this is bad. You shouldn't act like this because this is not the proper way to act. But that also comes with my job. My career has destroyed my inner child, and I've recently allowed myself to have that inner child back, right? And it takes a lot of work. It really does, because what's going on is that you have to rebuild the confidence to just be blindly yourself, right? Just be blindly yourself. Just accept yourself for who you are and not care what anyone else thinks because you know what's right about you. They don't know what's right about you, right? So, hence, in summary, if you want to feel this inner child that GIR brings out in a lot of us, that we aspire to say like, hey, that's me. This is who relates to me. This crazy fucking maniac is me, right? This crazy maniac, this cartoon, this loony bin, right? It's me. It's my inner child. It's what I've always known inside to be me. And we fight this. We fight this on the daily, right? But in order to have the acceptance of your inner child, our key to unlocking that is to allow yourself to be yourself, not to stop yourself from being yourself. Break the confines of society. Let yourself know that it's okay to be different. It's okay to not be accepted. It's okay for people to have assumptions on you. Most of those people that you feel that you're locked to when you're thinking about this, a lot of those people have the same issue and they're just projecting it onto you, right? So it's like, hey, I have to be good. You can't be like that. You're not allowed to be like that. We get a lot of that in this world, right? So, character GIR just brings all that back into play. It triggers that emotional response in your field, right? And it tells you, hey, everything is okay. I will project for you. So I'm doing the shapes now, right? And I'm just trying to get the base shapes, right? I'm not trying to do anything, no, not so much tracing, but we're getting his base shapes on his design. He's got a few triangles, really simple design, really, really genius. It's round because it portrays this innocence that GIR has, right? See this one here, slightly rotated. See that? It's got like a cube up on top. They start the hair here, boom. And that doesn't really make sense. But once you add the shadow or whatever else you need, your stitch line tends to be your baseline. But, like I was saying earlier, GIR is why am I blanking out on his name again? Oh, I was going to say Joaquin Phoenix. It's Joaquin Phoenix? No, it's not Joaquin Phoenix. Jonan Vasquez. Jonan Vasquez, his GIR directly triggers that innocence, right? This is another square. It's a round square. See that? It's got like a little like triangle down here on the bottom for the neck. That's what I noticed. It's like they're almost circles, but they're like these weird rounded circles, right? So we can almost get like a full square out of it. Let me do that over. Let's try that again. So we have our square, right? Boom, boom. We'll do straight lines, at least slightly curve them so that kind of gives it more of that shape, right? This is probably going to be like a curve. Here it wasn't so much of a curve because it just goes straight down. It kind of splits right here. It's more of like a cylinder here. connects directly to the body. As soon as he turns, it's like it gives it the shape of the curve. But sorry, where was I at? Jonan Vasquez. Center lines. Yeah, he really captured a majority of our inner child in this character. And it's greatly appreciated because people tend to see what they had locked away for possibly years, right? And a lot of the time when you put something away that long, these repressed emotions that you've locked away with this emotion of, sorry, I had to put the thing there, just like it's missing something. So locking away your emotions, back to that. It triggers these emotions that you've had, that you've probably locked away for years, that are in association with this character. And you begin to get nostalgic. What did I do? If you really think about it, this is just coming from like my perspective, you know, I can't speak for anyone else, but what did I do to lock this person away? This youthful energy that was only here to serve me. And how did I make it work against me? How did I allow someone to push that away from me? Right? And the answer is we really allowed it to happen to ourselves. We could try to blame people as much as we want, but the reality is that's not, no one has power over us, right? Of course, I mean, I can't speak for abusive relationships and whatnot. I have my opinions on it, but we all have the ability to correct behaviors in our body. Sometimes it just takes a little longer than others. I'm a victim of that myself, as I would say. I'm a victim to myself, right? And I've closed myself off from a lot of emotions that I should be having, setting boundaries, learning to cope, and other things, right? So, all that being said, with experience, you teach yourself to. Hey, Tyler's here. What's up, Ty? Tyler, the animation guy. And hello, Miss Naomi. Yeah, like I was saying, you teach yourself to open up wide. Do you guys like the music? And is my voice soft enough? Here we go with this inner speaking again, right? All right, back to breakdown. So we've broken down these fundamental shapes. We've traced over the line work. We get rid of this line work here. We've got kind of our GIR dissected. I'm gonna put it back up for a little bit. We got our basic shapes to what we need, right? So I want to focus on getting some of these arm movements and stuff involved in some of these other shapes that we have, right? So we're doing the dog shape now. This is a drawing I took from one of these kind of side profiles, and it was like the more common one that you see all the time, that you see in like pictures and whatnot. Yeah, Jazzy Ross, look at that. Kitty Cat, what's up, Kitty Cat? Naomi the Kitty Cat. All right, here, let's go back with this. Gonna give ourselves a little bit more girth on our pen. Boom, boom, boom. We're gonna get these shapes in here again, all right? And we're just really gonna dissect this character for what it really is. And watch, when we're done here, This is only going to be a 30-minute stream, so maybe next episode if I don't finish this. When we're done here, we'll probably have a more accurate picture based off of what I was trying to interpret from my drawing, right? So let's continue to get these shapes. Boom, boom, right there. And just like that. There's a lot of cubes. There's a lot of sharpness in these shapes. Oh yeah, we did Zim the other day. Here I have these other Zim drawings just kind of hidden. But see, that was one of the ones that we first dissected. Then we did a bunch of other things with it. And then we started messing with shapes a little later. See that? These are the custom ones after we got used to that profile. And eventually it turned into something like that, right? But overall, like I was saying, yeah, Zim has a ton of love. Overall, where I'm trying to get at with this is eventually I want to get my characters for my TV series involved in kind of an influence of this style, so to say, right? So I really need to focus on these basic fundamentals on how we build this GIR, right? So now that we have this guy, I'm going to shrink him, and then we're just going to start playing with these shapes for a bit. Okay, so I'm going to turn this one off. I'm going to turn this one off. I'm going to grab this GIR here. All right, where's our select tool? I want a square marquee. Da-da-da-da. Boom. We're going to shrink him. Base. This one will probably be a little bit more organized. I mean, feel free to join along too, you know, like start messing with these things, you know. All right, that one should be, yep, that is it right there. So we got these fundamental shapes. We're able to work with it. Let's now start to dissect a little bit more. Oh, you've made an Invader Zim for yourself. That'd be cool. Hey, go to our, I should have probably posted the Discord, man, because I'd like to see a lot of the fan art and whatnot that you guys actually make with characters and whatnot. So like, hey, if you're in our Discord, start posting pictures. I'm down with that. All right, back to the lesson. I'm gonna start moving these basic shapes to see what I can do with them, right? And see how I added this little, I don't know if that's a taper, but we can call it a taper. I see it a lot in a lot of the other characters. So I usually pop it in the corner. I want them to be kind of facing this way, right? And if we cut these apart, we could start getting the shape, his original mouth shape, back in play. So from the side, what we've learned from up here is on a 3/4 profile, he's kind of got like more of a cylinder neck. So we usually just want to like cylinder that up, right? And then we could just kind of add a, I would say like an upside down sausage, right? And then maybe a little more. Oh, look, I did something. I didn't even finish this guy, but I might have just erased it. So pretend like that never happened. All right, so we got these side profiles. We're going to start messing with the shapes, right? We know GIR is. And then we could slowly start to build him, right? To get where these things need to be. All right, basic shapes, basic shapes. There's always those cut zigzags too. And usually his face kind of right here. Then we have our center line coming back up this way. I really should just get rid of the centerpiece over here. You make your own toys? Like what kind of toys? Like action figures? You like to make action figures? All right, one thing I'm noticing about his eyes, right? is they're kind of 3/4 of the way down. So his eye line is going to be kind of like right here, right? So when you pop the eyes, he has about 3/4 forehead from the whole face. Then you can start placing his tongue. I see his tongue's a little bit back from this other piece, right? And the eyes are usually set apart evenly, so to say. Boom, boom. So now we have a shaped GIR, right? And from the shaped GIR, what we're going to do is we're going to add more of these rolled shapes that they have in the character. We're going to turn them into bean bags. We turn these into bean bags, it's just like awesome. Zim and Dragons and Bill Cipher. Man, you should tell me more about that. Bill Cipher, huh? Am I saying that right? Kiffer? Alright, anyways. Beanbagging it, right? So now the shape, his little square head shape, I'm gonna make him into a little beanbag. I like the beanbag thing just because it feels like you get to mess with the mass. Let's see. Get his little eye line right there. Boom, right? And we can start messing with these shapes. And we're not gonna make squares, so to say. We're just kind of rounding everything. Once we round everything, it gives us more of an idea. I'm going to move his hands too, just so we could have more of those dynamic poses, right? His body connected to his neck is kind of like that. I want to round it though. But I'm going to curve it also because I want it to look like he's dancing, right? So his front will be this way. Zipper right here. Boom. Just like that. Awesome. But I'm not gonna shape it in. I'm just gonna kind of put our center lines to show where it is, right? If anything, the zipper should probably be up here where his quote-unquote collar would be, right? It'd probably look a little better. I don't know if you've seen his other things, but like when his legs bend, they always bend in these weird, like, angled shapes. But you want to keep the mass about the same when you do that, right? So now we have a little beanbagger over here. Not too crazy about this ear, but as we mess with a lot of these poses, we can get more fundamentals involved into them. And see, as we dissect our character, we start from like a sketch, we do some tracing, we got, oh yeah, hacky sack, you know? We could put a little hacky sack right here too. Just give it some velocity, you know what I mean? And then we'll put his button eyes right here where his eyes would be. So they're kind of floating away from in this imaginary surface where his face would be, right? So we got that dissection portion ready. I got like about 8 minutes. Now I'm going to start doing some limb work. We have our first limb coming around this way. Second limb, I want to say the front comes around from here. So we have this little patchy look, right? Now, boom. We're going to say these are his arms, right? Make them bean bags, and then eventually we'll just start moving them into how his regular arms would be, which is just patchy little skin, right? I think he has like 1 or 2 patches. Let's check. He has 1 in the center. We'll just go back with that. Control Y? Okay, yeah. It's not like Toon Boom. Yeah, usually I have something going like that. And then his little stitch will be about right there. I'll shade this black. So if you start thinking about it in beans, GIR's just going to have a ton of little beans floating around everywhere. Almost forgot his little tail. What I can do is probably give it a dynamic shape. So it's shaking, so to say, right? It's shaking his little butt. All right, so those are his limbs. The face, there's a few faces GIR has with this thing. There's this crazy face, and I know it's similar to the Zim crazy face, so we're gonna try to replicate that. Usually you have that half box where that's a little too high. Let's do it down here. There's a better place for it. Usually you have the rectangle box, right? Then it's kind of skews back. And they use these really sharp shapes. And then they do this thing with a G. Especially with GIR. I want to say with GIR. Yeah, there we go. That's more like it. They do this thing where the jaw protrudes, but as it meets the centerpiece like that, it's almost like this weird little, like, G shape, I would call it. Right? I'm gonna start using my keyboard shortcuts. The mouth always protrudes, and it always has this round lip that goes around it, you know. So if we're gonna do GIR in that weird angular crazy shape, right, we're gonna know he has this square shape, and they always do the crazy tongues with the zigzag. It's always an M shape. I wonder where that comes from, to be honest. I think it's like murder. Oh yeah, you can't forget the zipper. Boom. There you go. Don't forget his little donut neck. I'm distracted by this fatness back here, so I'm gonna delete that. This is a later stream than usual. I did all my chores this morning, and I was just kind of like, no, this is a really productive day. His eyes are going to bulge more because that half shape's supposed to protrude up more. So theoretically, this should be a little smaller just because you're supposed to be looking at it from like a downward angle like that. Of course, we're going to mess up a lot because we're just dissecting this thing. This is just a reference for us later. But his eyes, like I was saying, probably be a little bigger just to put emphasis on the amount of crazy he has, right? And usually they cross out on the other side like that, right? Open the little nose here. And we'll put emphasis on the mouth by opening it up like that, right? So when we shade, we still get our G shape. There's just more emphasis on the amount of crazy he has. And I don't know if he does curves on the ears as he goes crazy, but I think that'd add a nice little emphasis on the emotion of the craziness, right? And if we skinny the neck more, puts more exaggeration on the character. So now we got this crazy little GIR character screaming out his lungs. And you all know what he's saying, right? You all know what he's saying? He's saying tacos. Because he loves tacos. Tacos are his thing. And speaking of tacos, it's taco time. And yeah, you're right. He doesn't have a striped tongue. He does have a robot tongue, though, right? Oh, yeah. I got Muffin over here. Muffin's making, she's just kind of rolling on the floor. But thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasant 30-minute stream with you guys. I'm going to try to do this every day. So if you guys just want to stop by here and there, I don't mind. I don't have set times. It's usually just after work, you know, working a hard day. And I'm going to be doing this. So the next 2 episodes, I'm probably going to grab regular GIR, and then I'll try to work my way to fat GIRs, different types of fat GIRs. Give that food to GIR. Yeah, let's give that food to GIR. All right. This has been Scribbled States. Thank you for joining me. And I'm your host, as always. You guys have a pleasant day.